We're everywhere.
Just keep pointing. And we are live. Hello and welcome to Google Games Chat number 7, the Halloween edition.
It's spooky.
None of us are wearing costumes, but I'm wearing orange, sort of, because of Halloween.
Or the baseball game.
Or the Giants. You know, that is one of the convenient things about the Giants playing in the World Series is you can wear orange, and you sort of got both bases
orange
covered.
and black, it's perfect.
Yeah,
it's
Halloween or Giants fan?
So does that mean it's
both.
like always Halloween at Oklahoma State?
I suppose it is.
I have strong opinions about Oklahoma that I won't bring out on air, so let's just refrain from Oklahoma.
All right.
Loves it.
Halloween episode.
To all of our Oklahoma visitors, we'd like to say we love Oklahoma.
Unless you got something to say, Oklahoma, and then put it on the stream.
Hey, here's a fun fact. Do you know that pre-roll video we watched? If you watch that, a week later, Louis Gray crawls out of your computer monitor and nags you to death. So
until you show it to someone else.
That is true.
You watch it, and then you get an SMS that says 7 days.
Therefore, you have to forward this video to somebody else, or else you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
And we really should probably stop just showing that pre-roll in the first place.
Why do we keep showing that pre-roll?
Because it's important.
It's so hard to get repeat customers that way.
I tell you.
It's important that people know what we talk about.
Yes. All right. So we're gonna start with some introductions. Hi, Todd Kirkleman, moderator. To my left, Dr. Wolf Dobson. What are you dressing up for Halloween, or are you?
Right now, I'm dressing up as. I was thinking about a spider. I'm not sure I have enough PVC tubes to form all of the legs.
All right. Maybe possibly a mangled spider.
I'm going to be a spider after an unfortunate accident.
or a tick. To my right, we got Colt McAnlis.
Don't take
Colt, what are you dressing up for Halloween?
A drunk father.
All right.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
Have
you
done,
up to the door, kids.
Have you done the trick or treat where you carry the bottle of wine in the wine glass?
That's what we're doing.
I did that for a couple of years.
Yeah. Run, kids. Daddy's in the street.
And John McCutcheon, what are you dressing up for Halloween?
Oh, nothing.
You sure you're not going to be a hobo?
I might.
Starting
I was going to say.
I'm working on my costume right now.
Yeah, I was going to say.
John's going to go as a native client acceleration module.
Yes. You won't see me.
Wait, are you trying to say that's hairy?
I like it. It's rugged. If we get attacked by zombies during the show, I'm getting behind this guy.
That is true. He's kind of got like the lumberjack. Give you an
axe.
Give you an axe, a baseball bat. You're like the anti-hero.
If you watch The Walking Dead, you'll notice that the amount of zombies killed by plaid outranks Solid Colors. Do the research, internet.
What about stripes?
That is probably true.
The amount of drama per episode goes up exponentially, and the number of zombies goes down at the same rate.
That's true.
I'm disappointed.
All right. Well, let's move on to today's tech demo, which is really less of a tech demo and more we're just going to play some games. Specifically, Colt wanted to show off his favorite Knackle Halloween-themed game.
Absolutely.
So take it away, Colt.
Thank you. For the Halloween show, I wanted to make sure that everyone had a great chance to get a taste of Halloween on the web. So, Jimmy, can we switch over to the feed, please? Fantastic. What you're looking at here is a fantastic game by Spacetime Studios called Dark Legends. Dark Legends is a vampire MMO that you can get playing on your phone or in the Chrome web browser using native client. So I've spent some time in this game, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, it's a great game to spend time with. But I got a level 31 vampire here, and she's rocking. Now, the reason this is a great Halloween game is you get some visuals in here that you don't get with standard other MMOs, right? Like, how many other MMOs do you see that have a fountain of blood, right? Plus, the entire point of the game is this sort of nice atmospheric concept that you're going out and battling sort of the decaying undead as opposed to the unholy undead, which vampires just generally are. You'll also notice that none of these vampires are sparkling. Big important thing for me, as I ranted about in our last talk. So all through the environment, you get these really cool environmental things. Like, of course, Halloween is here, so they've got the environments with the pumpkins, as well as just some really cool ambiance, like these vampires down at the end of the street found an unsuspecting victim to make friends with. They're dancing. So the cool thing is you obviously can run around and do instances with other players, sort of like raids and dungeons. Of course, all of these instances are sort of isolated, so you're guaranteed to get some good friends and not an experience of like waiting in line or waiting into a queue or whatnot. But in general, this is a fantastic game. If you're looking to do some nice browser-based Halloween gaming, I highly recommend Dark Legends. It's fantastic. The guys over at Spacetime Studios, they know what they're doing when it comes to MMOs. And the coolest part is that you can pick this up and run right on your phone, too. So if you're sitting here and you're playing and all of a sudden you decide, hey, I'm sorry, I need to go to the DMV for some reason, you can just turn it off, pick up your phone, walk to the DMV, and scare everybody there. So this is my Halloween browser game pick of the month, I suppose. So go, play it, Dark Legends. Check it out on the Chrome Web Store.
All right, and I see you got killed.
Yeah, well,
It's, I guess, hard to play and talk at the same time.
It is. It's not. Usually, I'm ignoring everyone. So, but while you talk, I'm going to play.
All right. Yeah. Well, I was just going to point out your character's choice of outfit, which
listen. That's actually the highest. That's the highest powered outfit in the game. Like, don't judge. It gives me +3 intelligence and +30 damage. So.
+3 something else.
+20 charisma.
Careful.
Hey now.
If you know what I'm saying.
No,
Hey, you know
I
what?
don't.
She fights the undead, and that's important. You got to look the part.
I'm all right. I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe a plaid shirt might be appropriate.
Yeah.
That's great feedback. Spacetime Studios, you need to put in a plaid shirt.
I can be the model. I'll just come in.
We'll fly you down.
Look like you rolled out of bed, and you could kill zombies.
I think that's really what we need to start up is the Google GDL zombie killing program. You're issued a plaid shirt and Dark Legends, and you can go from there.
Go and kill zombies. All right.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much for the demo. I will go and play it, and I too will pick up that outfit, I guess.
You should. It's a great outfit.
Can I wear it on a male character? Can I wear Speedos?
So there is a male version of this, which looks just as creepy.
All right.
They've got other versions. They've got like a funny little super vampire version, like that looks like the standard Bram Stoker style with the big poofies and everything. I don't even know. I'm not a fashion guy, but fantastic game.
The big poofies.
The poofies. You know, like they've got the jacket and then this big like.
Poof.
I don't even know. Frills, lace. I don't know.
This is
I know what you're talking about. The frilly stuff.
The frilly poofy thing.
The 18th century gentleman dandy outfits.
Yes, if you know what that's actually called, put it on the stream, and Jimmy will reward you with shouting your username out on the internet.
Or someone's username. Yeah, totally sure.
You're talking about an ascot?
No, an ascot's different. That's the tie. That's the double tie thing that you get.
Yeah, it's like a.
It's like a thing.
Yeah.
And it comes down, and then you have a little diamond stud. If I recall from Scrooge McDuck.
That's right.
DuckTales.
I think we've gone off track. Not discussing.
This entire show is
is
off
5
track.
minutes.
Why is it that
minutes
Scrooge
on it.
McDuck doesn't wear pants? Does anybody know?
None
Hey,
of them wear
before
pants.
we start this week's 5 for 5, I just want to point out, last week we talked about kind of the future of college as one of our 5 for 5s, and this past weekend, I'm just going to show this. I don't know if you can see this. Time Magazine, their cover was basically the exact same topic. So
It's clear we have fans.
Yeah, Time Magazine, stop stealing our ideas. Come up with your own. You've got your own staff.
Or better yet, steal them, but give us credit.
Yeah, maybe.
At least own up to the fact that you stole the idea.
Maybe you could put a link in.
That is true. Reinventing College, inspired by Google Games Chat number 6. I think
It's true. It's absolutely true.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, do we have the cool graphic intro yet for our 5 for 5?
Jimmy.
I'm getting a thumbs down.
5,
No?
4, 5. Okay.
wow.
All right. Well, that's pretty good. And this is
Just gonna play that back every episode from now on.
Awkwardly.
Only if we all do it together. Like
that's going to be even more awkward.
I think just you going like. Just awkward.
We'll mute the sound.
Speaking of zombies,
All right. So this is a Halloween themed 5 for 5.
I sent an animated GIF.
Here's. I'm trying to keep us on topic. Stop it.
Good job.
All right. I'm going to start the stopwatch once we reveal our first question. We'll chat about it until the stopwatch goes off, and then we'll move on. And so Halloween theme, first one we're going to ask is, first question, so what's up with all these zombies? Why is there so many zombies in so many games? Why do so many games have zombie modes? Why do we love zombies so much?
I have a thesis.
Okay.
The thesis is back when you were programming on a PlayStation 1, you were lucky using Painter's algorithm instead of a Z buffer. you're lucky to have 2 enemies on screen at a time. Once we switch to like modern graphics cards with like lots of cores, suddenly rendering a whole bunch of dudes not nearly as big a deal. In fact, if you've done a lot of graphics program, you know all about like level of detail. That as you zoom closer to somebody, you actually swap models out as you get closer and closer and closer with more and more polygons on them. But the reward for that is fewer and fewer people are visible behind them as you zoom closer and closer. And so having if you pull the camera all the way back and show 300 zombies, dudes are probably made out of 20, 30 polygons a piece, but it looks fine. And we can push that kind of graphics even on like a Nexus 7 or something. Like we can really do. We just have so much more graphics power, and therefore zombies are fun.
So you're saying zombies work well because these days we can do swarms of enemies, and swarms of like 300 guys with guns would be silly, but swarms of zombies coming towards you.
I don't know how often you've been shot at, but like 300 guys with guns,
Yeah.
it's a pretty short trip. In fact, there was a neat talk years ago from the Valve guys about how they had to tone down how much the bad guy shot at you because you just died immediately. It's like you're suppressed and flanked, and it's over.
That would be realistic.
Yeah, sadly, realistic shooters, not nearly as much fun.
So we'll accept the concept that aliens are attacking from outer space and make that like a reality, but then the amount of guys shooting at you, no.
Yeah.
It's like it's stormtroopers, right?
Well, that's why the stormtroopers couldn't hit anybody either. You really have that many guys.
They can hit their head on the door, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say there's 2 things that I like as from a game design perspective about zombies. One is that you can basically have the player shoot at them all you want, and like no parents group is going to complain. No one's really going to really raise a
Or
ruckus.
say German laws that
There's that too, but it's like if it's people, you start to feel like kind of bad about like is it really okay to have mowing down people? But like zombies, you can shoot down a whole bunch of them. Limbs can go flying off. They make perfect enemies in that sense. In that it's generally considered if you've got to have something coming towards you that you're going to kill. Zombies are good because they're dead anyway.
To all our undead viewers, we just like to say we love you.
Yeah, but we won't feel bad if we kill you.
Oh.
The other thing is, I feel like people judge the enemies in context in terms of like their intelligence. So basically, like here's the deal: you can have a zombie, coming towards me, and in a video game, if he gets stuck on this table and just keeps walking towards me, stuck on that table. That actually feels somewhat realistic because zombies are sort of dumb. If it was a person that was
mask our terrible pathfinding algorithms.
Exactly.
The programmers are incompetent. Throw zombies at it.
There was pretty much.
Your expectation for the post dead is much lower than your expectation.
Your expectation for the pathfinding abilities of an
that
enemy.
also plays into like Uncanny Valley, right? Like that. People look like zombies in the Uncanny Valley, so like it's perfect. It's the sweet spot. We actually hit realistic, like photorealistic, real zombie rendering because it is the Uncanny Valley.
So when someone says, "Hey, this character's eyes look kind of dead,"
it's
you
a
say,
zombie.
"Thank you."
Yeah.
Instead of just saying,
I worked
they're
so
dead
hard to
inside.
get those eyes just dead enough.
Colt, anything to add?
Well, listen, I think from the design characteristics, it's as close as you can get to actually shooting another human and still being legitimate about it. Plus, there's just the concept that video games very much touch on the concept of one against many. It's always your hero versus the world or the environment, and sort of at an evil realm, nothing embodies that better than a horde of zombies, right? It just fits. So
well, I mean, if you just think about like the number of people Nathan Drake has killed, I mean, you should feel bad after a while.
And then he's so charismatic though in the cutscenes.
It's like I murdered 27 people, and then I made some jokes with my ex-girlfriend, and then I killed another 75 people, and then I think that's true. I think the danger always with having zombies and having the slow guys who get hung up on the train as they come at you, besides the sort of breaking of reality where you're like, even a zombie ought to be able to get over a garden hose or a bench or something. But I think the other problem is that, that's kind of, if you're building AI and you're new at it, this is like the default thing you do, which is make a bunch of slow guys who come right at you. Mm-hmm. And then your default gameplay is to back up and shoot at them. And I'm so tired of that.
You didn't like I made a game with zombies in it? I thought that was fantastic.
I mean, I think,
Hold on. I'm going to reset and go into our next topic, which actually is kind of zombie AI. We were, and I think you had a thesis about this.
Yeah.
So let's hear it.
No, my thesis was on educational software. But no, you're right. I really think that this concept, I don't know if it's a universal term, but the term that my crew calls it is kiting, where you're backing up and shooting at guys, running back and forth and shooting the guy and shooting the guy and shooting the guy. You know, it's the default thing that happens with this kind of like really simple behavior is kiting. And then the question is, are you making kiting because it's the thing that you know how to make, or is it because we want the character to be kiting? Like, as far as I'm concerned, from a design perspective, if a slow guy is chasing you and you're turning around every now and then and shooting at them, if you consistently outrun that guy, that's not a game anymore. That's just like mowing the lawn. And in fact, I actually find some of the like horde zombie games make me feel like, I could just be out raking. That'd be okay. I could get the leaves off my lawn and I'd feel better about killing all these dudes.
I'm sorry, I didn't connect that.
Oh no, it's just that like when you say it feels like a chore. When you're like,
feels like a cheat.
Yeah.
Like when you're playing it, you're like, oh, I can like, I know that there's like this AI like radius that like I just step into it for a second, he starts lurching towards me, I step out of it.
I
like,
plug the guy.
So it totally breaks like the game itself.
Only if it's the default though, because kiting, like if you remember the original EverQuest, it was the thing to do to go get Spirit of the Wolf and kite the drakes when you get to a level.
Spirit of the Wolf.
You have it all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
When we get Wolf Spirit, but I mean, like that was the thing, right? Like you couldn't, if you were 2 or 3 levels below these drakes, you couldn't beat them. But if you had Spirit of the Wolf, you could actually like run and kite them around, and so that was like cool. I found a hack that was kite. So I wouldn't say that kiting is always bad, right?
Well, I don't think it's universally bad, but like I want it to be part of the emotional part of the game, and I think in that case it is where. If you could imagine the game where you have the giant, well, like we were talking about long ago, the big blue monster in Pathways into Darkness, where you're backing up and unloading every last clip into the guy, and like the whole point of the game is that guy is unstoppable, and all you have is this puny gun, and then all of a sudden the emotional content of this game is the thing that you want. There was an old PlayStation 2 game, and I cannot remember the name, and I should have been looking up while you were talking, where it was kind of hide and seek, where you played the little like scrawny girl being chased by the giant monster, and every time the giant monster showed up, you had to throw yourself into like basically just hide. You had to go hide inside a closet or behind a curtain or whatever, and cower there and wait for the monster to get and then leave again. What was that? What was the name of that game? But it was a really neat mechanic. Unfortunately, the game didn't quite work, but it was a neat mechanic because it is like all of a sudden kiting is really like it's like, oh my god, I set it off, I have to go hide.
So real quick question. So you're the AI guy. So if I were writing AI correctly for a horde of zombies, what should I be doing? What are some algorithms? What are some techniques? There's some people on the video right now that I know cannot wait to write a good zombie AI. What do they do?
So the very core thing you have to do with zombies is that you don't want to form a conga line. And the conga line is, I'm running away, I'm kiting these guys, and they all start
funneling in.
And then they become this conga line. So the way around that is to use technology called flocking. There's a very famous paper by Craig Reynolds, which was about boids, B-O-I-D-S. And the idea with boids is when you see a flock of birds flying around, they don't hit each other. Well, if they do, we don't see it very often.
Socially awkward birds.
Exactly. Awkward. No, but when the birds fly around, but they also they aren't all like, they're kind of following each other. Like they're all kind of going, and there's this kind of chaotic, like actually chaotic, mathematically chaotic sort of like tumble as the flock moves around. And what they're actually doing, what Craig Reynolds' model was, is to look at find a guy, find his nearest couple of neighbors, and try to match speed and orientation with those guys. And it turns out that if everybody is following that very simple rule, you get things that look like flocking birds. He's got a whole site called Steering Behaviors. And if you go check out Steering Behaviors, it's all kinds of very inexpensive ways for dudes not to run into each other as they're going along. And you usually combine sometimes, and there's lots of ways then. So now you have a horde who all kind of looks like a horde, like they're sort of spread apart and they're not smacking into each other. And actually, I mean, gosh, there's lots more about this. Like in games like Ages of Empires, they're actually formations that they like to form. So as they get close to each other, it's like, oh, there's a bunch of like areas on the board where they're like, I like to form in these things. Like as I get close, gravity kind of pushes me into formation, and that's a way you otherwise end up with all of your catapults in front and all of your shield men in back because the catapults got there first. Like you want them to, they've got to the centroid of the place they're supposed to go. Now you feel this gravity to pull you into formation.
And with a flock, I'm extending this. With a flock.
Wait, you can't do that.
Wait,
All right,
an important
we'll
part.
go because this is interesting.
There's an important part there. So with a zombie flock, who controls where the flock goes?
All right. So if you're either you have a single leader, or the zombie has one more rule. So each zombie is standing there, and he's like, okay, Kerp's over here, and he's moving this direction, so I kind of move in that direction. And the way you do that, I mean, it's like a little bit of trig, but basically, you calculate his vector and my vector and the speed and whatever, and then we add them all together. We'll post links afterwards to some discussion of it. But you also apply a vector in the direction that you want to go, and you sort of average these vectors together. Like I want to be over there, but Kerp's in the way, so I'll just kind of blend around it.
I see.
And if you think about the way when I walk around, and except for when I walked into the studio this morning, just about knocked over the camera. When you walk in, or when you're walking around, like I don't sit there and like calculate a plan to avoid every single obstacle and then stick to that plan as I walk around. Instead, I just sort of walk forward and like, oh, there's a thing there. Okay, I'm going to walk around that. And that's essentially what flocking is doing. It's like, well, I want to kind of go that way, but Kerp's in the way, so I'll kind of walk with him for a little bit until he's out of the way. And it's basically like, and the closer I get to Kerp, the stronger Kerp's vector to push me back away from him is. And if Kerp's
that's because I don't shower.
So true. Once I've kind of made my distance from everybody, then it's like the gravity vector pulling me toward, the pull towards the target now is much stronger.
So it's some form of weighted average?
Yes, very much.
And you're like, you increase the weighting with your like flock buddies based on your radius from them. Mm-hmm. So smaller radius, like the more it's like, I got to get away from them.
It's much more important for me to get away from you.
When you're kind of in that like that nice minimum there, then your like true vector takes over.
Mm-hmm. Right? And likewise the other way around too, which is that if I'm too far away from Kerp, I might feel a little bit of gravity come back to him, because I want to stay in formation.
So there's like a minimum on that curve,
And all right, stop it. We have to move on.
Okay.
All right. Sorry.
Cool stuff, though.
All right, very
really
interesting
exciting.
stuff. Post links.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. We can all make our own flocking behavior.
Flocking is really fun. It was actually one
a flock off?
Yeah,
that's
flock
good.
off,
Flock off.
Well, all right.
Next show, flock off.
All right.
There's a lot of places we can go here, but we're not.
Probably canceled.
5 for 5.
I was going to say.
Yeah, you had me on flock, buddy. So we're going to move. Well, you said it.
I did not.
Anyway.
Dude.
What is your...
Keep working here.
What is your scariest moment that you've run into in a game? This is the question.
Moment was
just now?
Conversation. No, go ahead.
All right, scariest moment in a game. You're not allowed to say the Resident Evil 1 dogs, because that's what everyone thinks of at first. And you get bonus points if your answer involves a not traditionally scary game. But, you don't have to go for the bonus points. I'm not going to go for the bonus points.
I think we have to start with John.
All right.
Start with John.
Well, I'm going to go back to my my standard game, Demon Souls.
Do you play any other game
in a row?
He's only ever played one game, actually.
You know what? Actually, I haven't played it in months, but the DLC just came out, so I'm going to start playing it again.
And now you're back.
No, but actually, there was in Demon Souls, which is Dark Souls 1, there's a stage that you spawn into the world and you're like walking down this tunnel and like there's just this massive dragon, like like way big. It's essentially the dragon takes over the entire environment that you're in, and you're kind of walking and like fireballs are coming out and you're like, what am I supposed to do? Like you can't even get close to this guy, and that was just terrifying. It takes so long, and eventually you realize you don't actually attack him. You use the environment to attack him, and that's the only way to beat him. But for the longest time, you're sitting there like, what am I supposed to do? Like you're shooting arrows at him, and you're just getting slaughtered like again and again and again.
All right. Colt, scariest moment in a game.
I'm trying to get the bonus points on this one. I don't know if you're giving it to me.
Mario Galaxy.
Metroid. The first Metroid, when you actually encounter a Metroid. Like, you go through this entire game, you fight Ridley, you go through all the areas, and then when you first encounter the Metroid and you realize what that thing can do to you, and that the only way to either kill it is either to freeze it and rocket it, and if you miss it, it attaches to you. I remember inching pixel by pixel through that game, because as soon as that Metroid, as soon as one of his pixels came on screen, he was on top of you. And I remember just being frozen. Just the haunting concept of like, this Metroid's going to get me. This Metroid's going to get just inching. I inched the entire way. And in the follow-up for the Game Boy, the Metroid 2, same concept, right? Because Metroid 2, there were Metroids everywhere.
That was one of the best Metroid games ever.
It was amazing,
Yeah.
even though it was like this the whole time. Super Metroid was the same way. When you finally beat everything and you got down into like, there was like a 4-tier zigzag until you got to the final Mother Brain room. That it was still just as haunting as it ever was. Just this desolate environment, and you know that there's just a Metroid like 7 pixels away, and you know that you're about to be in a firefight. Like, man, that was just to this day. If I see something shaped like a Metroid, I wet myself.
All right. We will have to experiment with that later.
I have one right here.
So for me, I'm going to pick a couple moments in games where traditionally scary games, Dead Space and Resident Evil 2, I think, where the game kind of the entire way lulls you into thinking certain areas are safe. Like in Dead Space, it was like, this save point place, or maybe it was the store machine or something. It was like the save point. And in Resident Evil, it was sort of that loading animation while the door opened and you got into the next room. In both of those, there was one point in each of those games where all of a sudden a monster came in. When you were like, okay, I'm relaxed, I'm at a save point, I get out, and all of a sudden a monster drops down from the screen. Or in Resident Evil, you open up the door, the loading animation goes, and then 2 zombies come in. And both of those just freaked me out, because like, up until that point, the game had done such a good job of training me that like, when you're at this point, you can relax, it is safe.
That's such good emotional manipulation. Like
it is.
Like there are horror games where they like play the safe music and you're in the safe place and you feel okay for a while, and then they turn on you, but they wait for like half the game to do it to you, and then it's so important to have those ups and downs. Otherwise, you're just always being attacked, and it's not scary.
I'm waiting for the moment when that, like, the actual safe room. There's that also in Resident Evil. They, the safe room with the typewriter and the good music.
I
and the
hum the music if you'd like.
Yeah.
I still associate that music with a happy place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. One day that place isn't going to be happy.
Hang on that to me, and a monster will drop through my ceiling. Yep. Mine concerns the story. So back in the Dreamcast days, there was a game called Carrier, and if you go back and play it now, it is comically silly looking. But at the time, my imagination was doing a lot of work for me. And I remember I was living in San Francisco, and I was playing at night, waiting for my wife to come home from chorus. And I'm sitting there, and there are these little like baby things that come out of a pod, and they sort of crawl along the ground. And you have your little it's an arc welder that you're sitting there zapping, walking slowly backwards, zapping these things, and kind of walking over them. And I didn't feel like I was frightened. I was like, I knew how to deal with it. I was kiting them. I knew what to do. You kind of back up and shoot these guys. And then you set off another one, back and shoot the guys. And they made this kind of gross noise as you're doing it. And I had to go back and forth across this corridor full of those things, like 3 or 4 times, so the game was awash in backtracking. So then my wife comes home, so I go and save, and I go into the kitchen to start washing the dishes. And I'm holding a sponge, and I'm wiping the thing, and then I hear this, like, squish behind me. And I just spun around, and I grabbed the sponge, and, like, the suds are going everywhere, like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, there was a nectarine, and it was moldy, so I dropped it. I was just like, I just hadn't realized, 3 hours, my anxiety had been completely maxed out. It's like, if I had been holding, like, a gun instead of a sponge, there would have been, like, 6 holes in the kitchen at that point.
I like to cook with a handgun a lot. Omelets
you don't wash
better
dishes?
with a Glock.
I'm like, whoosh, bam, dishes are done. No.
So, guys, we do have some feedback from YouTube.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
One of them, someone says, Demon's Souls is a masterpiece.
Yes.
So we do have a John
agree.
McCutcheon fan.
Yes.
I was not expecting that.
Is the person wearing plaid?
It's
Are you
Radomir
in flannel?
Bitsov. Radomir has not discussed what he's wearing. And then we have...
Jimmy.
Oh,
what are you wearing?
No.
So the Noah1212 says Super Mario was extremely scary. Didn't specify which platform.
Yeah. I'd like some more details about what was scary about Super Mario.
So when I got my first NES, I was like, I don't know, 6 years old. And I could barely play video games, and because of that, like Mario was actually terrifying. Like you get to World 8-1, and there was like you had to do like kind of like 4 jumps in succession, and like there was just like a kind of a pillar, one Mario width wide.
Yeah.
And like having to do that, when I finally like I would get terrified because it's like I've only got 3 men, and I have to go all the way back to 1-1 when I screw this up. But eventually you figure out the rhythm and it's fine. But when I was far worse game player than I am today, it was terrifying.
Would you say you were more anxious or frightened?
Yeah, I would probably say more anxious.
Are slightly different emotions.
Yes,
although
are,
my story was a little bit more about anxiety rather than fear, but it's the same sort of thing.
It was fear of having to start the game again because there's no save points.
And see, you're just going back to that over and over again with Demon Souls. This is what I'm hearing. It's like the touchstone horror of your horror is having to redo something.
Anxiety.
So actually, I would add one more, which is Minecraft. I wasn't.
That is actually really scary.
It can be scary because you've built this kind of safe world, and all of a sudden there's dudes in your castle blowing up, and you're like, how did that happen? But I was playing it with my daughter, and we were running around, and we fell into a cave, and fell really far down this cave, and we were like running around, and we'd never actually done much caving or spelunking, shall I say, up until that point. And you get down there, and there are a lot more monsters, and you can hear them crawling around in the weeds. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll just do my pickaxe here. Let's dig our way out of this. But she was like, I don't like it here. I was this is a bad place. Let's go up and sleep, and it will be daylight again.
So Minecraft, for me, was really scary in 2 ways. One, at night, like you have to go into your safe house.
Oh my gosh,
and it's
scary.
You just know that if they get through your defenses, like it's out of control. And like there's not much you can do at that point. And then 2, like sometimes I fell deep into caves, and it's like, whenever I do make it back up to the surface, I don't think I'll ever be able to find my house again. Yeah. Like I'm truly
There's like
lost.
Every level of unhappiness.
Yeah,
there. No, I know what you're
like,
talking about.
Well,
exactly.
I guess I'll just start
like
new.
Claustrophobic, scared of the dark, lost,
and
monsters growling as you're digging around, going.
And you might dig in one direction for the longest time, thinking like you're kind of going up, and then you just hit like the purple rock where you can't really break through.
And you're like, this is my tomb.
Now I need to like find the shortest path around this huge mound of unbreakable rock, only to get up and see that your house was probably destroyed, and you'll never find it again.
Or you accidentally dig under a lake.
Yeah.
Oh well.
All right.
What would make that is if you climbed all the way back to the surface and you found out that apes were running the place.
What a twist.
Spoiler!
All right, let's move on to our next question. Another zombie one or the vampire one? Let's do the...
How are we doing on time?
2:36. I think we got time.
All right.
Let's go with the zombie. One more zombie one. In our various forms of media, books, games, or movies, do we prefer the traditional slow shambling zombies or the kind of
the 28 days later running zombies?
28 days later, Dawn of the Dead,
Listen,
fast running zombies.
I'm just going to jump out. 28 days later, fast zombie, right? So the fast zombie is to a regular zombie as shiny vampire is to regular vampire. This is an abomination.
No.
A zombie is not, a single zombie is not the reason you're afraid of zombies.
It's the
flock.
horde.
It's the flock. It's this unending wave of deathness. What kills you with zombies is not one guy. It's the concept that you're never going to get out. That's what's terrifying with zombies. And you know what? Fast zombies break that entirely because it's just a different ballgame. It's a sparkly vampire of zombies.
So I don't think that it necessarily breaks it, but I agree with you. Like, what's frightening about zombies is that it's not just that there's zombies near you. It's that like 99% of all humans on the planet are zombies, and it's kind of hopeless. It's like you're in a shopping mall and you're up on the roof and you're looking out, and it's like, well, I see a lot of zombies, and I see like one dude way over there who's not a zombie. And then it's just a sea of zombies, and you're like, well, what am I even trying to do here? Like, because I can outrun these guys, but where do I run to? There's nothing left.
Yeah,
that's the frightening part.
And the cool thing is, like,
for me.
half of them are your neighbors. Like I served with Ted in the PTA, and now I get to hit him with a shovel.
Yeah, again.
Well, I'm sorry.
I think you've turned me to see your point of view. Like,
thank you.
I think
I'm going to stand with multi-speed zombies.
Will my microphone actually let me?
Jimmy's probably angry.
All right, I'll go back.
I'm going to stand with multi-speed zombies because I think the part of the zombie fear isn't just the. I mean, there's the concept that zombies were the sort of Cold War, fear of conformity kind of metaphor. You're like, what? And it's like, no, really.
Yeah.
And also,
Professor.
and again, it was reused as consumerism, like Dawn of the Dead and things like that. But for me, it's like, look, it's about infection, It's about SARS. It's about all the bad things that can happen to you. And one bite and you're hosed. Like to me, that's the zombie fear. And so speedy zombies are just fast-moving things that want to infect me, as opposed to slow-moving things.
Right, but again, it breaks the mold, right? So if you have a sparkly zombie or a sparkly vampire that doesn't blow up in the daylight, that breaks the rules, right? Now, if you've got a fast
They
zombie...
have rings. They have the ring that staves them. Haven't you been watching?
No, that's the Vampire Diaries. That's a different one. Yeah,
See,
that's-
you have been
glad
watching
I
that.
don't-
Busted!
Do these vampires wear bikinis when they go out fighting? Or,
They should. Back to the point.
Tan right away.
The fact is that you made
It's like vampire tan lines. Like, oh, so awkward.
That moon, jeez.
so you've got a fast-moving, infectious organism that doesn't respond to gunfire or being on fire, right? Like that breaks the mold. Like you can.
No, that's.
I'm sorry, but you
So
are
here-
wrong.
all right, so let me
I do
shift
think
the
part of
conversation.
okay.
All right,
So,
audience, you
here's
have
the
to help me
question.
here. And
Yeah,
tell,
audience,
tell
wait.
me how. Tell us how wrong
If
Colt is.
you were
You should do that all the
patient
time.
0,
Uh-huh.
who do you eat first? How do you spread yourself most effectively?
Wait,
There was a cool little game that was. It was a.
you know what? This is a good topic.
Yeah,
Let's reset and start this.
5 minutes.
Start this topic.
There was a
Spread.
game.
Well, wait. So, am I actually looking to spread?
Well, your brain has been consumed by the zombie
Okay,
virus, and you
here's
just
what
have
I
the
would
impulse
say.
to spread.
You start with Madagascar. I'm sorry.
Yes, that is true.
Have you played? You haven't played the Plague game?
No.
Well,
What?
You
You always got to start Madagascar
start
because they shut
Madagascar.
off their ports like right away.
the president of Madagascar is like, somebody sniffled somewhere. We're shutting the ports.
Oh yeah.
The internet knows what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
exactly.
You guys know.
Madagascar. I
Yeah, so
once
you
started
just-
in
you have that
Madagascar, and I
impulse,
thought I had the
and
game in the bag.
You want to spread as fast as possible
Oh.
and as robustly as possible, so like you don't pick just one class of the population. You've got
Yeah, like I got to go to an airport. I feel like that's where I got to go to like.
There's a lot of security at airport though. There's a lot of guns. Like, let's say you're in a hospital, you're sick. Oh, you just wake up and now you got to eat.
Yeah.
And you're the last surviving member of your new race.
Ooh, I like that. That's creepy.
So really,
Yeah.
it's about me surviving.
Yeah.
as a new zombie that can affect anything.
You don't want to go extinct.
Yeah.
Your entire species would go extinct
So
if you
we're
don't
thinking about waking up at the
succeed.
hospital. The nice thing there is there's probably a bunch of like victims ready, kind of in bed, sort of sedated, not really ready to
fight back.
to fight back.
But are they going to spread very well?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. A lot of these guys. Well, I guess it depends on the virus. If I'm sick and I get bitten by zombie virus, does that kind of make me healthy again, except for the zombie part?
So I don't think you've addressed the taste of the people that you're biting. I mean, if you're at a hospital, I don't know if you'd want to eat them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what
True.
about like a jail? I mean, a jail, you're in a confined space. The people are forced to be there, closed confined corridor. Something to think about.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the jail because it's like
I like that.
very
angle.
easy to
If
bottle
I was
in.
a zombie, like I'd be like, who's going to taste the best?
You know,
I don't want to spoil my appetite. I'm going to like really think
So then
about
you'd go to
this.
a library because you're going for brains, right?
That's
so
right.
you'd want the beefiest
yes.
brains that spend the most exercise. Libraries, universities,
Yeah.
that's the best
But
way
you
to
know,
go.
like veal,
Google.
right? Like,
Yeah,
you don't
Google.
Want,
You
don't
would start at
want-
Google.
But just like veal, you don't want like a brain that's been too exercised because
But
then
you
it's
want
a
it-
little tough.
but
It
you want
gets a little stringy.
Yeah.
So there was a game called Influenza, which was I think it was a Ludlum Dare game. And yeah, your job is to basically take control of people who are sick and have them go and like sneeze or throw up, and you have like upgrades like vomit linger and things like this, which is like how
Linger.
long. Yes, when
Minus-
you're working
minus
on
3
mechanics for
janitor.
your games,
Vomit linger.
make sure you have that
Just
checkbox.
this perfume of
Vomit
You know what?
linger.
That's our new team shirts. +1 vomit linger.
+1 vomit linger.
GDL. Google Games Chat.
So, John, you didn't say where you would. Who would you bite first?
I think I would go for the least mobile first. Because then I'm going to increase my.
You're a
Well, I'm going to
lazy
increase my
zombie.
numbers really easily without much threat, right? Like without exerting a lot of energy.
Well, but doesn't that
So
mean
wait,
you're
wait,
gonna-
so
you're
where are
just
you
gonna get
going?
shot
But again,
first.
we're going to be now this like massive,
that is true,
slow
that's true.
moving, like kind of like you.
But then-
you can take the guys off the edge. It's like a family of penguins
it's a
or something
phalanx,
like that.
if you will. Have you read World War Z? Speaking,
Yeah.
if you like supernatural books or action books, like
World War Z
World
is
Z is
fantastic.
amazing. But yeah, this is one of the problems. Just basically like, okay, you've gained control of your zombie. You got all the survivors in one place. Now you need to rid the world of zombies. How do you go about that? And they have an interesting solution. I won't spoil it, but World War Z, read
All right,
it.
yeah, that sounds cool.
Okay.
All right. Well, you know what? I think that that was our fifth topic, and we covered that pretty well.
All right.
Except I'm still thinking airport. I would still go for the airport.
There's a great
You got
book.
to get to the airport,
Yeah.
though.
So there's a great book.
You know, I call Uber. I'm gonna.
Certainly, like
Are
if
they
you
still
could,
in San
if
Francisco?
you could get some planes taking off with like a couple zombies, so that by the time they land, it's like a zombie party plane.
How is that
and-
plane
Yes.
going to land?
Zombie.
Well, the
reinforced
pi-
cockpit doors.
Yeah, the
So
pilot
only
can
the
still
pilot
land.
will be able to land.
That's
Well, the pilot then has a choice.
Hopefully, the
you know.
pilot, chooses to.
But if it does that, then they're just going to bite sharks, and then you have zombie sharks. And
but
if
but
you're
yeah,
going to
that's
be
what
up
you
at night,
want.
zombie
Yes,
sharks.
I think you just won the game.
There's
You gotta get the
with
zombie
freaking
sharks.
lasers.
All right, we're gonna finish out with what are you playing? Let's start with Wolf first.
So I've been playing a whole bunch of things, but the game that sort of struck me as an interesting discussion topic is Horn. Which came out. I've been playing it on my Nexus 7. It's published by Zynga. It's a very interesting game. It's got touches of Ico in it, or Eco, or however you say that, which is the old PlayStation 2 game where you have the space princess that you carry around, you drag around by your hand.
King of space.
Yeah, and solve puzzles, and then it also has definitely overtones of Zelda. What struck me about it as I was playing is I was enjoying it, and it's fun. Is that it sort of signaled to me that like the era of PlayStation, like second or third generation PlayStation 2 games are now available mobile. Like, I was sitting there playing it on my Nexus 7, which is not a particularly expensive device, and thinking, wow, this looks nice. Looks kind of PlayStation, like late PlayStation 2 net. Oh, wow. We've come, that was quick. So yeah, that's what I found very interesting about it. It's fun so far. The combat mechanics are sort of very touch sensitive.
I've said that makes me look forward to kind of being able to play some of the kind of either classic PlayStation 2 or DS or whatever games that I never got around to playing.
Well, I've seen a couple of them. They ported forward the what is the name of the game? It was it's like, come back to me and I'll.
All right. So still playing Skyrim,
Bard's
but I also started playing
Then you
because
started
should
playing
swap-
Demon Souls.
You
Yeah.
should swap.
You need to play
You should
Skyrim.
play
I've never
Skyrim.
played
You should play
Skyrim.
Demon
Demon
Souls.
Souls. Perfect.
We'll do a weird
but
swap.
I actually 2 days ago I was like, crap, I gotta play something different so that when I go to this
We have
next
a terrible job.
Yes.
We're forced to play games, so we have something interesting
Well,
to talk
because
about.
I was like, I had work to do, but I was like, all right, no, I can't do my work because I gotta play something different.
This
and
is
so
work.
and so I played Faster Than Light (FTL).
Yeah.
Started
Yes,
playing
yes,
that,
yeah.
and boy, I die a lot.
You have to
It's-
play a game that we haven't talked about.
Yeah, that's a rule.
Yeah, all right. Well,
First rule of GBL.
FTL
Fight Club.
is a
I
lot
do-
of fun.
Yeah, I do have to say, my crew is terrible at fighting fires. I think it's
Well, you use the airlocks to fight the fires.
yeah, that's where. Except that apparently one of the fires broke out in the oxygen station,
Yes.
and then and I was like, but I did that. I was like, and then I was
I
like,
feel like there's a secondary safety protocol we weren't following.
I emptied out the air. I closed all the doors. The fire was out, and I was like, uh-oh, now what do I do? I was left
Get
basically without
every
oxygen.
person into that room
Yeah.
to repair the oxygen.
I tried, and they didn't make it.
No, the game. Like I think even if
I
you
like
beat
playing
the game,
simulators where everyone dies in the
happens.
cold black
Sorry,
space
I
of
was
space.
talking to Vince about FTL, and he was saying like eventually you can get a teleporter and you can like teleport to the enemy ship and
Yep.
like fight hand to hand. He said he did that, and he left his automated attack bots going, and they destroyed the ship, the enemy ship, and his whole crew went.
Yeah, you got to be careful for
You
that.
have to make sure that if you teleport over, you get back over before the ship goes.
Colt, what are you playing besides Dark Legends?
Well, actually, I have been playing Dark Legends because since
for work.
Well, hold on. It actually is. So since
That's
last
what you told your wife.
Since last episode, we said, hey, let's show off a great Halloween game, and I was level 1 when I started a week and a half ago. So
I thought you would nail these guys. It's like, hey, can you give me a boost?
Just been playing the entire time, and you know what? The game has gotten better and better and better the longer I've played it. You know, it's really hard to kind of come in.
Are they pushing updates, or you?
Oh yeah. all of the space time. Sorry. I mean, my experience with the game has gotten better and better.
Okay.
You got to remember, I was addicted to EverQuest back in the day. My father and I, we used to each have 2 accounts. And that was our father-son bonding. Was we would sit down and play EverQuest together, and then I kind of had to do some stuff, and so he took over all 4 accounts, and then got 2 more computers and was able to 6-box an EverQuest guild by himself. And he still does it today.
Wow.
Padre, if you're watching, mad props for your MMO skills.
I thought this is why you had children. It's like Daddy needs you to tank.
I need a gold farm now.
I've heard that phrase before. So, but anyhow, so I'm very clued into what makes good MMOs, and Dark Legends got cooler and cooler and cooler because it was a different mechanic, right? I mean, it was originally built for mobile, and so it took a little bit of time for me to understand why they changed some things and how it translated to the native client build. But the more I got into it, the more it made sense, and the more fun I started having with it. So, I've been playing Dark Legends, believe it or not.
All right.
All right, I got a new game this week.
Ooh.
Yes. I picked up the new XCOM.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's great. Yeah. Funnily enough, I never really got into XCOM when it was a DOS game. And it's now the exact same game that I watched my friends play when I was a kid, and I'm loving it. And the transition to 3D is excellent. It's still the exact same game. You're building out your base.
I hear the interface. The interface on the DOS one was fairly terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, you had to spend half your time making sure you ordered enough bullets, which was.
There was that, and just the grid of buttons was with incomprehensible icons on them. I went back to play it. It was I love this game, but I don't like. I don't like reading Sanskrit.
It's still grid based, but you're working with at least I'm playing on the PS3, so I'm working with an analog stick, and they do a really great job of mapping the controls to the console. And it is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Have you named your squad after either friends, coworkers, or
no,
famous people?
I'm too lazy. I'm too lazy to do that. Although I have a friend who keeps telling me on Facebook, he's like, "You just died last night."
Yeah. I do that all the time. I name all of my characters after coworkers.
I started doing that in FTL, but I'm like, they die too quickly. It's
in FTL, they're really disposable.
I'm saying the way I played XCOM was we defeated the UFO attack on the bodies of thousands of special forces people.
That's the famous.
I don't know how you play XCOM.
The famous Zap Brannigan quote.
Yes.
Is that, how did you defeat the Killbot?
Well, they had a built-in kill limit, and
so
we just sent wave after wave
of my own men until they reset themselves.
Yes, and we do it again, right, men?
Men?
Love me some Zap Brannigan. Futurama, more episodes, please, please, please.
Every mission I go on is a suicide mission. And again, this is also my motto playing XCOM and similar games.
So XCOM, I'm really So unlike FTL, in XCOM, I'm really enjoying the RPG mechanic of my players, despite being too lazy to actually name them or.
I love you, AA.
Do you put all of them in
They come with preset good names.
All right.
And some of them I have almost at max rank, and I'm pretty concerned about them just because they're so powerful.
I can just imagine John being like, "Okay, everybody, we're all wearing plaid today."
Yes.
My children are bubbling up and then throwing you into the fray.
Quick, there's a fire in the oxygen room. I'm afraid I'm going to have to vent it.
So I was,
Little frozen plaid bodies in space.
In FTL, they have the plaid meter. You spend enough time on my ship, they're in plaid.
All right. Well, I think that is a perfect note to end this Halloween episode on. Remember, kids, forward this video to your friends, or Lewis Gray will get you. And we will hopefully...
Lewis Gray. Lewis Gray.
Jimmy.
Don't say his name 3 times.
It'll pop up over there.
And we will see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah.